Welcome back. Today we're going to be working on a 2011 Chevrolet Impala. We're pretty sure it needs an engine, but as you can see it's already up on jack stands. I'm going to check one thing before I start tearing apart the engine bay. I'm going to rev it up to about 2,000 RPM. Hopefully you can hear the knocking. And then I'm going to drop the oil and see what it looks like, see if there's any chunks or particulate in it. And since there's already chunks on the dipstick, pretty sure I know what I'm going to find. But I want to show the camera, and then I'll start tearing apart the engine bay. There we go. And now to drop the oil. All right. Here is the oil pan. It's kind of hard to catch this on camera. Oh, there we go. Nothing but glitter. And it's got kind of a brown hue to it for some reason. This pan was perfectly clean before I dropped the oil. And you can literally see the streaks in the oil. That's all metal particulate. So yeah. This engine is definitely junk. So we're going to start tearing it down and put a junkyard engine in it. Now to get started on taking out the engine, I prefer to start on the top. Pull off the shrouding, airbox, take out the battery, and just kind of clear out the top so you can see where all the bolts are, bell housing bolts, what accessory drives need to come off, all that. But I'm going to start on this side with the battery and go from there. Okay, on this plastic shroud, most GM products of this era, it's held on, not with the oil cap, but this the oil cap screws into. You turn it, it comes out of the valve cover. Just like so. I also recommend putting all these plastic pieces, bulky, not real heavy, right in the trunk. Makes organization so much easier. And this little connector here has a tab on it. You can pull it out and down a little bit. Should come right off. Should come off. Doesn't always. Okay, next I'd say the motor mounts. And on parts like this that doesn't bolt all the way, I'd recommend you putting the bolts right back where they go. That way when you're reassembling it, you know right where the bolts are and right where they go. Alright, step one. Drain the coolant. Always step one. Drain the coolant. on this particular car, right down at the bottom of the radiator under this hose, there's a little petcock you can unthread and it'll drain out just nicely. And that's what the head of it looks like. You can unthread it a little bit and it'll drain nicely out of the bottom, or you can unthread it all the way to drain it a little bit quicker. And a good tip, getting an actual hose pick. It makes taking off all of the hoses much easier. You can break them loose and get them to slide, hopefully without wrecking the hose. Sometimes if they're old though, there's just nothing you can do to save them. Sometimes a pair of slip joint pliers is the right tool, no matter what anyone tells you. Alright, I got all the coolant lines off. Now I'm going for the fuel lines right up here. It's these two. This one is... I don't remember exactly what flavor clip this one is. Takes these style of tools. You push it up from the bottom, and it'll pop it loose. You just gotta find the right size. And one trick to using these tools is push the fitting together, push the tool up, and then pull it all off as one. Because it's got little fingers in there that lock to this little flare. Alright, for the other fuel line clip, let me give you a close up here. Looks like it could be all sorts of tricky. All you have to do is push it all the way over and pull up. Okay, next step's going to be all the exhaust. All right, we are in fact making progress. Let's see if we can get some light down here. These bolts right down here, right at the end of the screwdriver, those are the bell housing bolts. That's why you need to remove the exhaust shielding, because you can't reach those very well otherwise, if at all. Okay, a lot of the connectors on this car are this style. I want to show you nice and clearly here how to disconnect these, because if you're not familiar with them, they can be a little bit deceiving. You take a pick tool, fairly sharp, don't stab yourself. You work it under this little white piece, and you just gently pull it out. Then once it's out that far, you can see this little tab, this black plastic piece here. You press down on the black piece, and voila, comes right off. But you have to slide this little white keeper out to get it to unlock the tab that actually holds it, which is right here. And the rest are pretty similar. So now I'm going to start on all the accessory drives on the front of the engine up this way.
Alright, now here is how we take off the serpentine belt. This right here is the idler. All I need is a bare 3/8 ratchet. It's got a square pull right here. That's less of 2. Then you pull towards the front of the car, and you can pop right off of any of the smooth pulleys, water pump or idler pulleys. Then once that's off, you just let it sit down, get it off, and you can remove the serpent belt. And installation is the same way. All you need to do is get it routed, hold pressure on one of these pulleys, pull some swing on, and yeah, it's easy as that. You just take tension off the tensioner and you slide it on the pulley. Of course, the routing is never easy on these things. Okay, and I finished getting the belt off. You follow this power steering line down. There's a screw right down here by the bottom of the battery box. All it does is holds the power steering line and prevents the serpentine belt from coming off nicely. So you just pull that screw and you can get the belt off. If your serpentine belt looks like a wadded up ball of string when you take it off, it's definitely time for a new belt. Just FYI. Okay, next, I'm going to be unhooking this wiring harness. I also recommend a good clip tool. Screwdrivers just do not work. A lot of times when you use a real clip tool, you can save the clip. So you can relume the wire right where it's supposed to go. Okay. This wiring harness goes back here to a couple of plugs. One's this little sensor here, right under the spark plug wires. Okay, that plug had a little keeper that shattered. That's where a sharp pick tool comes in handy. Sometimes you can hook it and pry it out. Okay, this wiring harness also goes straight down back here. A plug for an O2 sensor. So don't break that plug. This plug also has a keeper on. There we go. These little keepers can generally be a hell of a fight. That being said, the plugs pretty much never come apart, unintentionally. Of course, sometimes they never come apart even when you want them to, so. There's that wiring harness. Now I just have the hot wire to the alternator. There we go. There's that side of that wiring harness out of the way. Next one we're going to work on is the power steering pump. You want to disconnect this rear line coming in over the alternator and leave this line hooked up. You can't get it off without pulling the pump loose anyway, so it's not a big deal, but just don't take that one loose yet. The power steering pump here is held on by a few 13mm bolts. Reach right through the pulley and unthread them one by one. That's the power steering pump, how you have to put it on. This line needs to be tight when you put it on, because there's no way to tighten it once it's on the engine. So you just lay that down in the battery box, and there you go. That's out of the way. That, we'll get to that in a moment. Next step is the alternator. It's got one bolt here. And tools back. Alright, since I don't know where this thing stopped recording, I got the splash out of the way. Got the oil pressure sending unit unhooked right here. And right over here is the AC pump connector. And I don't know, can you see it? Yes. This bolt right here, that's one of the ones holding in the AC pump. And all you have to do is take out these bolts and lay the AC pump down. You don't have to take it completely out. And then you got a whole bunch of stuff right through here. Got a knock sensor up there under the heat shield right there. That's a knock sensor. So yeah, I shall continue. Alright, let's whisper. Now to drop the starter itself, you got two bolts coming straight up from the bottom, come in behind this brace right here, and you can see them from underneath. They go straight up and down. And the easiest way to get these starter bolts is a long swivel extension. Okay, before you drop the starter, I have to get this steel bracket out of the way. Now that the starter's out, let me pull this little plug here. It's right on the bottom of the bell housing. Well, this is the engine oil pan right here, and this is the transmission pan, and this is the bell housing, kind of right in the center. That way we can get to the ring gear, turn the engine over with a pry bar, and get to the torque converter bolts from where we took out the starter. And there we go. Now we can easily turn the engine over. Turn the bar over the engine and take a pry bar. You rest it against one edge of the bell housing. Get it in one of the starter teeth. I want the gear teeth on the flywheel. And a little bit of time, you can turn it over. Oh, 3, 4. There we go. Torque converter's free. Only 3 bolts on this one. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. And while we're on the underside of the car, we're going to get these 2 motor mount bolts under here. So hopefully the engine will just lift out once we get that far. Okay, here we're going to be disconnecting the exhaust. And on this car, looks like the easiest way to do it is winch the engine forward with a ratchet strap and then get it from the top. On some of these cars, it's easier to take about 2 feet worth of extensions on an impact and get it from underneath. Sometimes it's easier to use a sawzall if you're not reusing the exhaust. On this one though, we're going to get it from the top. Here we go. And this bottom bolt is on the bottom edge of the oil pan to the passenger side drain plug. Same size as the rest, 15 millimeter on this bracket. This is one of the most hated bell housing bolts. Right there, looking through the end of the wrench, is the bell housing bolt that most people don't know exists, or they think they have to pull the rear manifold. Looking through it this way, it takes about 3 feet of extension, but you can get it with a bunch of extensions. And yeah, well, ratchet or impact, your choice. With that many extensions, I recommend an impact. All right, we are ready to pull the engine. Got the cherry picker set up. Got a strap on the engine. If you use a strap for lifting this, make sure it's rated for at least 1,000 pounds. I prefer a small chain, but I don't have one right now. To hold the hood out of the way, I disconnected the gas shocks. Put a rope. There we go. Put a rope to the hood latch. Ran it down back into the trunk latch. A handy tip if you're going at it alone. Not recommended on pulling engines, but hey, sometimes it happens. Oh, the exhaust is fighting. If you're not pinching any hoses or wires, that's it. Okay, so we got a wire back. Something on the back side of it. All right, there you go. Got an engine out.
Engine bay empty. Now all we got to do is wait for the repair engine from a used auto parts dealer. And yeah, don't know how many of the accessory drives we'll need, so we'll wait to take this engine apart until we get the new engine, and then we can swap over all the parts we need. We'll see you back when the replacement engine arrives. Yeah, let's see how this works.